What is up, everyone? I'm Denise Salcedo. Welcome to my 2021 WWE Money in the Bank prediction show. So I am very, very happy because I have a very, very special guest, as you guys can see here today. Joining me for Money in the Bank predictions is none other than Cultaholic's very, very own Ross Tweddell. Ross, how are you?
I'm not too bad, Denise. How are you? Just to peel the curtain back for everybody watching, we've just been practicing how to say my name, which has obviously become a joke on Cultaholic because Adam Pacitti, who also works here, says that, oh, Tweddell, which is the way I've said it all my life. It sounds funny in my accent, my southern accent, so it's become Tweddell. So I'll take Tweddell. I've been called far worse. How are you doing, Denise?
I was like, okay, so we were practicing this off air, and like for the life of me, I could just not get it properly. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so rude. Like he's my guest, and I can't even say his name right. This is so embarrassing. But you were very cool about it. And I was like, okay, whatever. We just decided that whatever comes out is gonna come out.
Hey, I've been on YouTube now for over 5 years, and I've read many comment sections which have called me a lot worse, so I don't mind at all. Say however you like.
Ross, so I'm happy for one because right now, like our chat's blowing up, our Twitter feeds have been blowing up because a lot of people seem to be very, very happy that you and I were doing this show. A lot of people were saying that, wow, the forbidden door has been opened. I don't know what they mean by that. I mean, in terms of like our relationship, but I mean, either way, I'm happy.
I know what they're hinting at. I think they're hinting at your property of a certain other professional YouTube channel from the British Isles. But I don't think you are you? I think you're completely freelance.
So
I don't see what forbidden door is now.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I thought too, because a lot of people were like, oh, like it's the forbidden door has opened to Cultaholic. And I was like, well, I don't know. Like, well, was there a closed door there? I have no idea. I mean, I just know that we're coming on here and we're doing this show. So we have a lot of people here. I'm going to read a couple of comments and then we're going to jump into the actual predictions here today. We got 7 matches to talk about, but we have a comment from Matthew Makovsky who says, this is a duo we never knew we needed. I think was so too. And then we have a comment here from Will Gassett who says, oh, damn, I didn't realize this was just about to start. Awesome. Danny Spears says, Raw Tweddell, no way. I set that reminder notification ASAP. So people are definitely, we got Ross as the boss.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
We got it. We got it. All right. So let's go ahead and jump into Money in the Bank. Obviously, it's taking place this Sunday. And Ross, let's just kind of start off with like, in terms of like all the pay-per-views that we have a year for WWE, where does Money in the Bank sort of rank in for you in terms of like pay-per-views that you're excited for?
4th, I would say. You got to go WrestleMania. Oh, sorry, I'll go Royal Rumble every year. That's one I look forward to every single year, bar none. So Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, Survivor Series. I guess 5th, actually, because SummerSlam's going to be massive this year. I'm just talking nonsense now. I know nothing about wrestling. So I guess 5th. I guess it is the 5th of the big 5. But it's always fun. The matches are always fantastic. Well, most of the time fantastic. Unless Brock Lesnar comes back and steals one right at the end, heartbreakingly so. But yeah, I guess 5th. It's always a fine show. This week should be a very good show, looking at the card.
I think so too, you know, especially like we actually have a bunch of matches announced for the show. I remember like last month for Hell in a Cell, we had like 4 matches on here. I had Dave LaGreca on and we only had 4 matches to actually talk about in terms of like the predictions and all of that. So I was like, oh man. So thankfully we have more matches to talk about here today. But it's funny because when I ask you this question right away, you're like 4th, 5th, giving me a number. And I'm like, oh my God, like I didn't expect this. But I feel like Money in the Bank is, you know, one of those shows that is just very exciting because, you know, I'm a sucker for ladder matches, period. Like I know there's a running joke that, you know, like NXT does way too many ladder matches and this and that. I don't care. I mark out for them all the time, especially when it comes to Money in the Bank.
And they're always unpredictable, by and large, I say anyway. There's very few Money in the Bank matches where you think, yeah, that guy, that girl is definitely going to win. And I think this weekend probably suits that down to the ground. It's very unpredictable for both ladder matches, and that always adds to the excitement and the fun. Unless Brock Lesnar comes back and nicks one. Oh,
so we actually have a comment here. BTW, you guys, if you're watching the live stream, send in some comments. I will be reading them throughout the stream. We actually have one from iBalls who says, Ross is our podcast gold. What a wonderful duo. It doesn't get any better than this. And here we go. We got our first super chat of the stream. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Maj Motard. I'm pretty sure I messed up that name too. That's going to be the theme of the day. Maj says, best collaboration celebration yet. Forbidden Door kicked in. That's going to be my goal now, Ross, to just kick all the Forbidden Doors down.
I wish you all the best in that endeavor. I hope you got a massive pair of steel-capped boots to kick those doors down. That's it's a big job you've got on there.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. That's the goal in life. Oh, so let's go ahead and kick things off then, because we have so much to get into. Again, we have 7 matches announced already for the show. If you were watching the live stream, also make sure to send in your predictions here as we go through them. But let's go ahead and get it started. So the first match that we're going to go ahead and talk about is obviously the Usos versus Rey Mysterio and Dominic for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. So Ross, let's start off with, how do you feel about this actual matchup, the story heading into it, and who you think is going to win and who you actually want to win?
When the hell was that added to the card? That's a surprise to me.
It was added last week on SmackDown, I believe. Yeah. Was
it? Bloody, I missed that one. So yes, this is a match that will slap all kinds of nuts, to use a turn of phrase there, Denise. I think it'll be hard hitting with the storyline involving Roman Reigns, obviously trying to end Dominic Mysterio with that power bomb out the ring on SmackDown, trying to end Rey Mysterio inside Hell in a Cell, all that kind of stuff. And with obviously the Usos tying in there, they're finally on board with Roman Reigns, even if Roman Reigns is clearly using them, which I hope they see in the not too distant future, because no one should be used, Denise. No one should be used. But I think this is a perfect match for a kickoff show, because it's just going to be a fantastic tag team match, which you know the Usos and Dom and Rey can put on. But as for a winner, I've got a sneaking suspicion we'll get new champions here. I don't know what it is. There's something in my waters. Something funny in my waters saying new champions here.
Well, I think whatever your waters are, whatever's going on in your waters, my boat just sailed right in, because I completely agree with you. Okay, so this is why though. Okay, so on SmackDown last week, I started thinking to myself, when Rey Mysterio and Dominic came out, this is very embarrassing. Keep in mind, I cover the show each and every single week, okay? I talk about SmackDown every week. I forgot for a couple seconds that they were even the tag team champions, which is very sad, because that should tell you that necessarily, I kind of feel it's safe to say that nobody really cares that Rey Mysterio and Dominic are tag team champions. Do you think I'm a little far out there when I said that?
It's understandable for you to say you forgot they were tag team champions, because after Dom got just powerbombed straight down to hell, they just didn't appear, did they? And I think Rey appeared for that Hell in a Cell without his tag team title around his waist, if memory serves correctly. I've got no idea what they've done since then, because all professional wrestling these days, Denise, for me, it just blurs into one big mush inside my head, and I forget everything that's happened. So yes, I can see why you've forgotten they are, and I guess it has been a bit of an underwhelming reign, because how many times have they defended them? I guess that's a good question.
There you go. You go. So for me, not only is the fact that they are lacking as an actual champ, an actual tag team, obviously they did it to get the whole, dad and son thing going in the history books and all of that. We all know that's the only reason why they even put the tag team titles on them. So now, for me, obviously one of the major focal points, one of the major storylines that we've been seeing on SmackDown, you might as well rename it the Roman Reigns show, because it's literally all about Roman Reigns and the Usos and all of that. So it would make sense to, put some gold on the Usos once again, because they are really the focal point of SmackDown, and might as well be these running force and have the belts with them.
Unless this is going to change with fans coming back, because it's felt like, as you say, it's been the Roman Reigns show for quite some time. I think SmackDown, by and large, has been a really good wrestling show since Roman Reigns, since last summer, really, since Roman Reigns turned heel and all that stuff. But over the past sort of couple of months, the repetition in the undercard with King Nakamura and Baron Corbin, then you had Cesaro and Rollins, then you had Carmella and Liv Morgan recently, then you've got something else, the Alpha Academy, wasn't it, with who were they facing? With
Otis and Gable.
Yeah, who were they facing time and time again? They were doing something repetitive as well.
With the Dirty Dogs. With
the Dirty Dogs, yes.
It's
been very repetitive apart from what Roman Reigns has been doing. I think that's just been, hopefully, WWE just sort of spinning their wheels before fans get back in. But if it is going to continue being so repetitive, get the belts on the Usos, because they are the focal point.
Yes, we actually have several comments on this. This one is from Jeremy Bauman, who says, I honestly thought the Street Profits were the tag team champions.
It's been a while. It's been a little while, hasn't it?
I feel like because again, like they were champions for such a long time, but again, like nothing really has been sparking in that tag team division. So I feel like that's why, most people feel. But I think for the most part, a lot of people are expecting new champions in the Usos. So I feel like right now, for the most part, we have a comment here from Rager Productions who says the Usos are going to squash the Mysterio. I honestly feel like everybody feels this exact same way, that we're going to get new champions. And John Elite says last week they didn't even announce the damn match last week. Did they not? I knew about this for like a couple of days now.
No, we did our predictions on our channel. We filmed them yesterday, and we got the card yesterday morning off Wikipedia, which, by the way, Denise, I don't know if you know, it's the most reliable source for information on the internet.
Wikipedia is very reliable.
And that didn't have the Usos tag team match on there, so I guess it's just a very recent thing.
I feel like I've known about this for at least a couple of days now. But then again, like my days, like they fly by. So I might be like bunching in like this huge amount of chunk of time all in one. But whatever. The point is we're having the match, everybody. That's the point. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and move on here and jump into the next match that we have. So next up, let's go ahead and talk about the Raw side of the tag teams, the tag team championship. So we have Omos and AJ Styles, who we definitely know are the champions, going up against the Viking Raiders. So do you think that Amaz and AJ Styles are going to retain the belts, or do you think that we're going to crown new Raw tag team champions? Thoughts on this, Ross?
This might just be their fancy graphics, by the way, how this is happening. This is amazing production.
I just like, you mean like this, the whole like aspect of it all? Because I was stole these images from WWE.com.
Like everybody does, but the fact they're popping up here live, it's incredible to see. We need to up our game of Cultaholic, that's for sure. But I think this might just be the easiest prediction of the night. I don't think here now in what month is it? July of 2021. It's hard to keep up these days with time, isn't it? But in July of 2021, I don't think the Viking Raiders are going to hand Omos. I know he's lost like other like sort of 6-man tag matches and other sort of innocuous matches like that, but not to hand him his proper big pay-per-view first defeat in WWE. I don't think the Viking Raiders here today are the tag team to do that. So I imagine Omos will throw those two big Vikings around like there's no tomorrow.
I kind of feel bad because for a while there, the Viking Raiders did have this like momentum where I feel like every time they came out, like people were genuinely excited about them. Like, oh, they're going to come out and they're going to do cool stuff because again, you have these big guys that are, moving about the ring in a very exciting way, but it kind of just went downhill from there. And AJ Styles and Amaz necessarily, I feel like they started out being like really funny and you were digging them. And again, that kind of went down. Obviously, they were gone for a chunk of time. But I mean, I still like feel like they can still do maybe just a little bit more with them, at least in terms of story wise, have them be champions versus the Viking Raiders. So I do agree with you right now. It just doesn't really feel like there's any hype, or I just kind of feel like the Viking Raiders are just there. So keep the titles on Amaz and AJ Styles.
I don't want to do this as a wrestling fan, but I remember War Machine from before when they signed with WWE, and it's always a bad thing to do. Like I remember before WWE, because it's always by and large a bit different and sometimes a bit better. But they were just like they just kick people's heads off. War Machine rules, all that kind of stuff, and to see them sort of descend into this sort of comedy role with the turkey legs and whatnot, I can see why Vince McMahon's gone that way. But also, it just makes you think: did you not see them like way back when they would just kill folk? It's a lot more effective for me. So hopefully, after this, as I say, more storylines needed here. Maybe this continues into SummerSlam, but hopefully, sort of the Viking Raiders can go back to War Machine, because that's, in my book anyway, that was a lot better than what they're doing now.
All I know is that I never want to see turkey legs again. Every time I see turkey legs, I'm like, you know what? You killed my love for turkey legs. Like whatever love I had for turkey legs, gone.
Are they meant to be that pink?
No. I mean, the ones I've seen, they're like fairly like a little like darker, like brownish, like, and then the bacon wrapped turkey legs are pretty good. I've had those. But I don't think they're supposed to be that pink, but I guess it depends on how you like your turkey leg. I don't know. We actually have a super chat. This one is from Michael Branson. So thank you so much to Michael, who says, did we just set up the next Straight to Hell? Ross, I'll let you take this one.
Yes. We're going to shoot sometime next week and then get it out on the channel. Hopefully a week on Sunday, because Sunday is Straight to Hell Day by and large on our channel. So yeah, even though Denise, I'm finding is quite a positive person when it comes to certain aspects of pro wrestling. Oh, you're not?
Oh no. I'm super positive, but don't worry. I got my gripes. I got my issues. I have things I need to let out of my chest that they need to come out, Ross. This seems like the perfect place for me to do that.
I wish I could go back to the start of Cultaholic and just call straight to hell wrestle therapy. It seems to be a lot more fitting title just to let people vent and get their gripes about professional wrestling off their chest and just sit back and listen and rejoice in just pure bitterness and hatred. It's a lovely show, lovely like a warm show for all the family, honestly.
I think so too. Come and air your issues. We'll do this therapy session, Ross and I, and we'll just cure everybody on here. Let's see what else we got. We're getting several predictions here from people, but this is one from Kyle Rochelle who says AJ and Amaz will retain and will lose to Randy and Riddle. Do you see this as something that is possible?
I was just saying that maybe the Viking Raiders could be going to SummerSlam, but I forgot about Randy and Riddle. I don't know where Randy and Riddle is. Where Randy is at the minute. I just hear him in my head saying Randy, and that voice is just it grates on me, I tell you. But Randy and Riddle will take the tag team titles off AJ and Omos. I imagine Riddle will do some ungodly slam to Omos somehow, some way. But it'll be a star-making, if he needs it, or at this point, it'll be a star-making victory for Riddle, I reckon, that one.
And then, also Randy and Riddle, now that Randy's been gone for just a bit, he's been a little MIA and all of that, but they have been honestly some of my favorite aspects of Monday Night Raw. So I think that is very possible. We have a comment here from Kyle Thompson who shares a prediction of his own and says, Scree finish to continue the feud and open up RK Bros to enter to make a 3-way tag team title match at SummerSlam. Raiders will eat the pin and RK Bros will become champions. I kind of like this. I don't mind the idea of obviously doing a 3-way for the titles. I think that would be actually pretty cool and get as many, people on the SummerSlam card, since we all know they're trying to make that into, a really big show.
Get Kyle Thompson on the WWE creative team. That's what I'm saying. That makes a lot of sense what you just said there.
I agree. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the next match here. BTW, actually, before we do that, guys, we have quite a few people on this stream, so please make sure to give this video a like. If you're new to my channel, please make sure you go ahead and subscribe. I welcome you guys all here. I'm trying to get to that 50K. Obviously, I'm not yet at the Cultaholic level in terms of subscribers, but I'm going to use your drawing power to bring the people over to my side.
You are overestimating me greatly here, Denise, if you're relying on me for any kind of drawing power.
You are my Brock Lesnar at the moment, okay?
You need to stop talking. You are talking nonsense right now.
I love this. All right, we're gonna go. See, actually, it worked. Skylar Willis says that he subscribed. Thank you. You see what I mean? I'm bringing in the people. Bringing in the people here. All right. So, we actually have another super chat and then we'll jump into the next match. Thank you so much to Jose Palomares, who says, off topic, Rip Todd, the greatest Cultaholic champion ever.
God, yeah, we just finished doing our podcast this morning, which is going live at 8 p.m. tonight, hopefully. So, yeah, I got a text off my girlfriend whose rabbit has become sort of a character on our channel, just doing predictions competition. It doesn't sound as silly as it is, but Todd the rabbit was a former Cultaholic heavyweight champion. He would have been 10 years old next month. A little Netherlands dwarf rabbit he is, or was. He passed away today. This afternoon, just peacefully passed away. So thank you, Jose, for your comment there. It's hit me hard, that did. I barely knew Todd. It was my girlfriend's rabbit, but he passed away today, just short of his 10th birthday. So rest in peace, Todd.
That is so sad. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Jose, for sending in the super chat and also depressing the both of us. A lot of people are upset that I mentioned Brock Lesnar. What do you mean Brock Lesnar doesn't have any drawing problem? Now, you know what? I'm going to air that out and straight to hell. All right. I'll air my grievances or my thoughts on that on there. All right. Let's go ahead and move on. So we covered both tag team matches so far, but now let's jump into the Raw Women's Championship picture. We got Rhea Ripley defending the Raw Women's Championship against none other than the Queen, Charlotte Flair. Ross, thoughts on the peculiar build-up to this story, to this match, excuse me, and also, do you think we're going to crown a new Raw Women's Champion at Money in the Bank?
What's been peculiar about it, Denise?
Just kind of making them look very silly, having them essentially not be able to beat Nikki Cross and a silly beat the clock challenge, kind of making them, fight with you. Oh, I forgot what the hell they were fighting with during Raw, like last week or the week before that. I mean, it's been kind of a very, very non-interesting story per se for two challengers for a champion and a challenger that I am very, very fond of here. Not necessarily, in my opinion, the best story to tell with Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair.
I feel so bad for Charlotte, mate. This is going to get you a lot of unsubs if I say what I'm about to say, but so I'm sorry about that. It's incoming.
You gotta
Brace
say
yourself. I feel sorry for Charlotte Flair because she's fantastic at professional wrestling, but her booking makes you forget about the fact that she is fantastic at professional wrestling. It just makes you want a booking. Her booking. Her booking. Sorry, my Geordie accent is coming through here. Booking, I should say in the Queen's English. Her booking on the show, her storylines and stuff like that, you see. Her storylines on the show and how she is used and shoved down our throats collectively as a WWE universe. Just how she's used. It just makes you hate her. It makes you forget how good she is at doing wrestling. I think this storyline has been yet another example of that, unfortunately, for Charlotte Flair. So it has been strange, but this segment on this week's Raw where she came in the ring and beat down Rhea and they worked on the knee a bit more, it had me fearing the worst. I think with SummerSlam apparently being marketed as this WrestleMania that WrestleMania 37 couldn't be, Charlotte Flair walking into that with the big WWE logo on the Raw Women's title around her waist, it's going to happen. So I think Charlotte's going to walk away with the title and we'll all cry.
Okay, so first of all, you had a great idea. Everything you said there was fantastic, but everybody's laughing at the booking here, and everybody's saying this is so much fun. I felt terrible. I was like, "What are you saying?" And, you think at this point I would really be able to get the British accent in. So my bad. I apologize.
I'm from Newcastle upon Tyne, which is in the northeast, which is very far away from all the other British sort of wrestling YouTubers are from. They've got Queen's English accents, and I've got the mere peasants and paupers up in the northeast, the working class. So I do apologize if certain words come out weird. It's just how we say them up here.
Well, it could be worse. You could be from Los Angeles and sounds like the Kardashians. So, it could be worse. I rather have a beautiful accent to go with it and say things flawlessly. But no, I agree with you though, is that Charlotte Flair, I've gotten on several podcasts, I'll say Charlotte Flair is legitimately one of my favorite women's wrestlers, maybe even my favorite women's wrestler of all time. And I get people that are like, how dare you be a Charlotte Flair fan? And she's not that great, this and that. She takes all the opportunities away from other people. And I'm like, are you guys fully aware of what's happening here? I do not think that that's the case with Charlotte Flair. It's just unfortunate that that's the way that they, have been booking her, in the sense that I think a lot of people don't necessarily see a lot of the talent that, Charlotte Flair has there. They let that get in the way of, they let her booking and what has, how they portrayed her on the show get in the way of the talent that is actually there.
Yeah, it's the way she is booked. Portrayed on TV, it does make you think that maybe she has Vince McMahon around the throat saying, you will use me like this and have me win all the time. But that's not the case, is it? It just can't be the case. Vince McMahon clears what he wants to clear. And if he doesn't fancy Charlotte Flair to win a particular match, she won't. But it just so happens she always does, and that sort of blinkers your perspective on what she actually is. Because while the character inconsistencies a few months ago, they did my head in when she was like, Ric Flair, I hate you. I hate being in your shadow, but I'll continue to have the knockout version of your theme and your robe and your woos and your chops and your figure 4, figure 8 and all that stuff. That was sort of a head scratcher, just let her be her own thing, I guess. But she is fantastically talented and she is a good heel. She's a good heel in professional wrestling and a sensational wrestler. It's just a shame the way they use her that just makes you think, I'll just go away.
Exactly.
Cody Rhodes has the same sort of thing in AEW. I'm fine at the moment. He's got that sort of enough is enough now, Cody. You've had your go. Let someone else have a turn now.
I see what you mean on that. Now, okay, so sorry, did you already answer if you're going for Rhea or Charlotte here?
Charlotte, definitely.
Charlotte, okay, perfect. So Charlotte, I still feel I feel bad for Rhea in this situation because she is a very talented person. But unfortunately, what we have seen on Raw necessarily hasn't been the very best, at least. They haven't, her promos haven't been great. Obviously, the booking of her and the storyline with Charlotte Flair leading up to this match hasn't necessarily been great either. So I almost feel like they haven't highlighted Rhea's strengths on Raw like we were seeing her strengths on NXT. So I do kind of feel bad for her in that sense, because I'm like, okay, like so far her reign as champion hasn't been anything, worthwhile or anything notable whatsoever, anything to really, brag about. Okay. But with that being said, I still feel like there's still an opportunity there to be had with Rhea as champion. But part of me is just thinking like maybe they just don't see it in her. Maybe just something's not clicking, whether, it'd be the powers that be and Rhea Ripley, whatever the case may be, something is not clicking there. So then I'm thinking, all right, well then let's go to Charlotte. Let's make Charlotte champion. But then it's like the same, we're essentially falling back and going to the same exact thing. So I'm a little bit torn here where I don't feel necessarily as confident in my prediction of which direction I think that I would like them to head in and the direction that they might head in. So I feel like my prediction here is, I feel a lot safer saying that Charlotte Flair will come out as champion.
I feel like we're being punished for being fans of NXT when it comes to Rhea Ripley. Because obviously in NXT, Rhea Ripley was this massive babyface, like a big crowd favorite. We all loved her. Always a big fan of what she did when she toppled Shayna Baszler eventually. That was one hell of a moment. The entire roster was out there. And then obviously, now we've learned, after all these years, you need to just sort of forget about what happened in NXT, because when they get to the main roster, there's something completely different. We're starting again. And where I find us, just as a fan, just taking any sort of analytic sort of perspective out of watching Raw and watching wrestling in general, we're very confused as fans when it comes to Rhea Ripley, because they want her to be a heel. They've seen her, I assume they've just seen the sort of gothic look she's got going on and just the intimidating presence that she has in the ring. And Vince McMahon's like, yes, that's a heel. Just by looking at her, that looks like a heel. So we're going to make her a heel no matter what the fans at home think. And I think if the fans were there in the arena, maybe they wouldn't have been so blunt, I guess is the word, and making her a heel. Because there was a period of time when she came on Raw and she was sort of smiling, being like, oh, I'm kind of a baby face, but I've got that sort of a heelish edge because I'm a big, strong lady. I can just kick whoever I want in the face and all that sort of stuff. And I remember just logging on Twitter one day thinking, oh, Rhea Ripley's a baby face. She's on the main roster now. She's doing good things. And then she called everyone peasants, wanting to buy tickets for WrestleMania 37, which is obviously a directive from creative. Like, you are a heel. You'll be a heel no matter what we're doing here. And I was thinking, we're just confused here. Let's define what Rhea Ripley is. Let's take a step back. If she loses at the weekend, yes, it'll be devastating after remembering WrestleMania 36 and that loss, which should never have happened. But that's a different issue for a different day. But let's just, if she is to lose this weekend, let's take a step back and really define what Rhea Ripley is on the main roster, because so far it's been a bit confusing to follow.
Oh,
the creative wants one thing and we want a different thing, and it's, I don't know what to say.
They've gone against the natural fan reaction, the natural fan reception to Rhea Ripley, because I was in the same boat. And you have no idea, on my weekly, Raw post show with Sean Ross Sapp on Fightful, I complained about this like a zillion times. Like, Rhea Ripley's one day a babyface, the next she's a heel, the next she's a babyface, the next she's a heel. She's not going to get over like that. And there are some people that, do get over as, these tweeners, but it's not the case for Rhea Ripley. And she was somebody that, heading into her match with Asuka, oh man, I remember thinking, oh, this is going to be the best match. I was even more stoked for Rhea Asuka than Sasha Bianca. And I ended up hating Asuka versus Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, and I wasn't expecting that whatsoever. I felt like, if anything, I was one of the biggest persons, hyping that match up, and then it kind of just went, down the drain. So yeah, it does kind of suck that they've kind of, essentially forgotten or neglected, or we're supposed to forget or neglect, whatever the case may be, everything that Rhea Ripley did over on NXT. But we actually have a super chat from my creation, Adam Blamplate, who says, my prediction is the show will massively underwhelm, but no one will care because fans are back. Do you agree with this prediction, Ross?
I don't want to. I'm optimistic looking at the card, and I hope they just deliver. There's going to be apparently big surprises happening with the first show, with the first pay-per-view back with fans properly after the pandemic. So just stop being so negative. Stop being a negative Nancy. Just, sit back, try and enjoy it, and then hopefully it's good. If it's not good, fair enough, which we've seen before, but hopefully it will be good. I'm optimistic, Denise. I'm optimistic.
See, I am too, but here's the thing is that I feel like for the most part, all WWE pay-per-views, in my opinion, and I know I'm not on the payroll. I wish I was, but I'm not on payroll. Essentially, like, I feel they have all honestly been good pay-per-views. Even when on paper, it didn't look like anything that was, going to blow you away. I would say for the most part, like, maybe like last year, 2 years or so that I've been doing these post shows, I don't necessarily feel that I have come on here and said, oh my God, this show was terrible. Like, no, I mean, yeah, you have some bad matches every now and then, some things that, you're not necessarily feeling like, the horror show eye for an eye match. But even then that was a fun match with a terrible stipulation, but whatever, that's not the case. The point is that I've always at least enjoyed every single pay-per-view. And I feel for the most part, they don't let you down with the pay-per-views. Now, Raw and SmackDown, that's a whole other story.
Oh,
but the pay-per-views have been great.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, especially under the circumstances and trying to sort of create different feeling things in an era where you weren't allowed to go out and do much. I don't know what things were like over in America. I think they've been a lot looser than they have been here in the UK, that's for sure, in terms of lockdowns and whatnot. But under the circumstances, it has been a fine year for pay-per-views. With a global pandemic going on, they've done okay.
Exactly. With a pandemic going on, I agree with you on all of this. BTW, friendly reminder for those of you guys who are here for the very first time on my channel, Instinct Culture by Denise Salcedo. Please, if you haven't yet, make sure to give this video a like. And if you haven't, make sure to subscribe. I also recently just uploaded a brand new interview with Nikki Cross, who is now going by Nikki Ash, almost a superhero. We talk about her new persona on Monday Night Raw as the superhero. We play a very fun lightning round game, and I have so many other dozens of interviews. So if you guys haven't checked them out, make sure to subscribe and scroll through the channel. You might find some stuff that you might like. So let's go ahead and move on to the next match here. All right, so after this, let's go ahead and talk about this one here. We got Bobby Lashley defending the WWE Championship against Kofi Kingston. I'll ask you again, do you think we're going to see a new champion here tonight?
No. I think this is another easy one to predict after the final segment on this week's Raw. The loss to Xavier Woods for Bobby Lashley obviously was very shocking indeed. Didn't see that coming whatsoever. But the fact it led to Bobby sort of telling the lovely ladies that MVP has acquainted him with, told them to go away, and he's back to no nonsense Bobby Lashley. Hopefully with MVP sticking with him. I still think Bobby needs a mouthpiece, and MVP is a fantastic mouthpiece at that. Now that Bobby's gone back to no nonsense and with the win for Xavier Woods, I think that Kofi is going to get absolutely massacred.
I think so too. As much as I like Kofi Kingston and his promo work has been straight fire as of late. Well, he's always had good promos, but even a recent memory, he's been blowing it out of the waters and all of that. I think that it's definitely safe to say that Bobby Lashley will retain, and anything other than that would honestly be a surprise. But we have a lot of people that agree. We have Ariana Viente who says Bobby destroys Kofi. We have Denonce Key who says hashtag and still. John Elite says Lashley retains 100%. Everybody here has Lashley winning. I don't think I have anybody here that has a Kofi Kingston whatsoever. And we all like Kofi. It's just that I don't think that he's going to be winning this match here today. All right, so here we go. Let's jump into the next one. This one's interesting. I'm curious to see how you feel heading into this match, not necessarily on who might win, more so in how you feel about even seeing this match. So we got the tribal chief, the head of the table, Roman Reigns, defending the Universal Championship against none other than Edge. Ross, how do you feel? Are you excited for this match?
I don't know if excite's the right word for it. I am looking forward to it because this was supposed to be the WrestleMania main event, but Daniel Bryan got himself in there, and I love that. I know a lot of people, I don't know if, well, I got the feeling that a lot of people didn't like the build to WrestleMania 37 and how Daniel Bryan got in there, but I love the fact that heading into WrestleMania 37, you saw every single one of their point of view. Like, you could see why Edge was in there and how he was going to win. You could see why Roman was in there and how he was going to win. You could see how Bryan was in there and how he was going to win. But now with this just being a straight singles match, I think it's another predictable one. I mean, I'm doing predictions with Andrew here at Cultaholic Wrestling, and he's gone for Edge. And I cannot believe my luck, Denise, to be honest with you, because we have chops as a punishment next week. chops, and I don't want to take chops, not off an entire office. So I've gone for Roman here for I don't know if it'll be a straightforward victory. I think that maybe Rollins could play a part with the little sort of interactions he's had with Edge, and I think Edge is I forget what word he has blazoned across his titties, but it's some sort of I don't like religious things or something.
I forget what it is, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And obviously the links with Rollins being the Messiah last year and then saying embrace the vision or whatever he says this year. I think that's a hint towards SummerSlam maybe. So Rollins could get involved. I just see another win for Roman, with Roman looking good. The storyline, I think the storytelling aspect of this match will stand out more than others on the card, because Roman has proven, I think back to the Hell in a Cell he had with Jay last year. Was that last year? Or was it 2 years ago? Must have been last year.
It was, it was the last Hell in a Cell, yeah.
Yeah, whatever it was. That was fantastic from just a pure storytelling perspective. So I think that's where this match will stand out on the card. It'll be pure drama, just two big muscular men dripping with all kinds of sweat. Denise, it's going to be fantastic.
Oh, I love the picture that you painted. I love the picture. Here's the thing, and I feel like I just, when I realized that they were going back to Roman Reigns and Edge, I felt like this massive drop in my interest. I felt this massive disappointment, this gray cloud just went above me, and I just did not care. I did not care. I posted this on Twitter, and I had a lot of people that were very upset. I'll mind you that I had a lot of people that were very, very upset at me for posting this. But I basically said, what on earth changed to, prior to WrestleMania, obviously we were heading into having Roman Reigns and Edge, but then we had the incorporation of Daniel Bryan. Okay. And we all know that having Daniel Bryan being brought into the storyline kind of made it so much better, because I think that Edge lost a lot of not everybody. He wasn't the baby face that they needed him to be during that time. Okay. So now, moving forward, it's what changed? Why should I care about Roman Reigns and Edge now if I didn't care heading into WrestleMania, and they knew we didn't care, so they felt the need to add Daniel Bryan. So that for me, I get it. This is going to be, something of a transitional, a next challenger for Roman Reigns, because there really isn't anybody, and I get all of that. But this to me feels very repetitive. Been there, done that. Even though we haven't actually had the singles match, it doesn't matter. I already saw Roman Reigns defeat both Edge and Daniel Bryan at the biggest pay-per-view, in WWE at WrestleMania in a very, very dominant way. So it's why do I care about having to see this match again? So that's kind of where I'm at. And again, a lot of people were very upset that I said that, but I definitely think that Roman Reigns is walking out as champion. If Edge were to win, I would be shocked, and I think it would be the wrong call to make.
The build at WrestleMania, I get what you said about him being a baby face and then losing that way, but I like that aspect in that they were acting like, this feels awful to say, but they were acting like real human beings would do in that situation where they're challenging for a championship title. If that makes any sense, what they would do, they weren't doing that WWE thing where they're blinkered in what they're doing. They're going, he's a babyface, he's going down that babyface road. Edge went down many different roads, and it all made sense in terms of what story they were telling. So I don't know. It's I guess that is a valid criticism, easy for me to say, saying that they could have created more jeopardy for Roman Reigns in the build to this matchup, because he did stack him and pack him and whatever the catchphrase is at WrestleMania with Daniel Bryan. So why, obviously Bryan's lost quite conclusively on the SmackDown where he had his last match, didn't he, on that SmackDown? So why would Edge fare any different? So I guess they could have created more jeopardy. I'm still looking forward to it. It's still going to be very dramatic, and Edge is good. I like it. I like Edge when he pulls his psychotic face.
I agree. It's still going to be a good match. Hell, I might even come onto the post show and be like, best match ever. You just never know, obviously, what is going to happen. But we got so many people here saying that they want to see Big E versus Roman Reigns. And I feel like Big E is somebody that everybody in almost every single podcast, when you talk about who you want to see do this, who you want to see do that, that is a name that we hear. But again, we're going to go ahead and actually jump into the next match, because we still got we got two more matches to talk about. So here we go. Let's jump into the women's Money in the Bank match. So we got Tamina, Natalia, Morgan, Zelina Vega, Alexa Bliss, Nikki Ash, Asuka, and Naomi all in this match. Ross, before you give me your prediction on who you think is actually going to win this match, tell me how you feel about the way some of these women have been brought into the actual Money in the Bank match.
First and foremost, Denise, I feel terrible for Tamina because everyone got promised this big surprise, and there's been rumors of Becky Lynch. Could it be Sonya Deville making a comeback to the ring? I don't know who else has been rumored, but there's been a lot of names mentioned. Sasha Banks, I guess. There's been a lot of names mentioned for this role, and she's been hung out to dry by the company, and I feel so bad for her. It's not her fault, for goodness sake, everybody. Lay off Tamina, will you? But as much as I'd love Tamina to win, this one's a pretty hard one to call for me. It's been a mess on the SmackDown side of things, obviously, because they don't have, up until last week's show, they didn't have a women's division, did they? They had the Tamina and Natalya, and then they had Carmella and Liv Morgan, and then
not much of a division.
That was it, wasn't it? That was it for everybody accounted for after all the releases this year. So thankfully, they've got sort of Toni Storm and Shotzi and rest in peace, Blackheart, and Tegan Knox as well. So we're getting back there with the division. But it's been a mess on the SmackDown side of things. At least on the Raw side, they've had to qualify. I think I'm right in saying that. So at least we've got that heading into the match.
In the beginning, they actually did the qualifiers, and for like the first couple of people on Raw and SmackDown, and then it kind of just went downhill.
Yeah, but I saw a picture today. I think it might have been Sean Ross Sapp, your pal, who retweeted it, where Alexa Bliss is staring down Roman Reigns from a SmackDown a little while ago. So that terrifies me. What could happen if Alexa Bliss wins the Money in the Bank? We're all sat there wondering who the hell is going to take the belt off Roman Reigns eventually down the line whenever he loses it. And it could be it's Lily. Oh my God. Is Lily still a thing?
Lily, I think she's still, I mean, not like on the show, but they're selling her doll. So I'm assuming she's still a thing. I feel like she has to be, right?
Oh my God. I imagine they made millions of those dolls when Lily was on TV. Then they realized how horrible it is. Just a horrible gimmick and a horrible way for Alexa Bliss to go in storyline. And they've just got this warehouse full of millions of Lily dolls and Vince McMahon. Damn it, we've still got to sell them.
And they will sell them. They'll get rid of them somehow, some way. But here's the thing is that, and this was my complaint about the Lily doll, she's not even cute. And I get it. She's supposed to be ugly. But I'm like, you could have made her like ugly in an adorable way. And they didn't even do that.
Yeah, I just feel so bad with Alexa Bliss, with many things they've done with her over the past year. Because I've said this many times on our channel, she's fantastic in that role. She's a fantastic actress. She's done so well with the utter dross she's been given. But my God, come on. Let's get. I'm glad with fans coming back, they've sort of toned it down and just made her a bit more spooky and scary, but not in a magical way. She's not a magician anymore, so yeah.
They at least had to do it in a way that makes sense. And I think like every week, I mean, they've had her do something different. Like you do the whole black liquid with Randy Orton, the whole, dropping of the lights. I mean, the girl's got every single power imaginable. But then when she needs to use it, she doesn't use it. It's very weird. But we actually have a super chat from Maj who says that he is on the Tamina train. Whoop, whoop. Good. Yeah, I'm glad to hear somebody's on the Tamina train.
Are you not, Denise?
Look, I was happy for Natty and Tamina when they won the titles. It was a nice moment. Good for her. I thought that, she won the crowd over at WrestleMania. Good for her. After that, I have absolutely zero interest.
I think it's time we end this call. I'm just going to log off there. I can't believe you just said that. Yeah, I feel bad for Tamina and Natalya because obviously at WrestleMania, organically, the crowd covered in rain just got behind Tamina and Natalya, had a great time cheering them on. And then it just seems after WrestleMania, all the lights got shut down, the pirate ship got taken down. They've forgotten about that and made them heels. And that's, I don't know if I can swear, but that is bull.
You can swear.
That is fucking bullshit, Denise. It's been a while since I've sworn on camera. It's fucking bullshit how they forgot about that. Terrible scenes. I feel sorry for Natalya and Tamina.
Okay, I agree with you on all of that, but I just have to repeat, I do not care and I could care less. And now I'm being booed in the chat.
Yes, boo her.
I'm being booed because I'm not on the Tamina train, okay? I'm sorry. I'm out. But, looking at this list, all I got to say is that, I just hate the way that, like Tamina, Natalya, and Zelina, how they were all added into this match, I thought was baloney. And so I'm looking at this and I'm thinking of like options of who I personally want to see win. And I got to go with two options here. And that is Liv Morgan and Nikki Ash. I think that the Money in the Bank should be something that launches somebody into, that one slot above where they're at on that roster, or even more so. And given that, people like Bianca Belair, and, they're champions, Rhea Ripley, they need more challengers. They need more quality challengers that you can actually say, you know what, I believe that this person could actually win the bout. Now, Liv Morgan does not have that yet. People like her, but she doesn't have the believability yet that she could win the bout and become champion, right? So they should use the money in the bank to, propel her into, this new era essentially of her career, and have her actually, win, and then have her win matches, and then eventually, have her go for the title. Even if she doesn't win the title, okay, fine. That's okay. She doesn't have to win, but propel her into that next level of her career. I think that they could do so much. They have the power to do it, and they can do so much and get a lot of mileage out of Liv Morgan, because I will tell you, as a female, like I hate to be like all like judgy of like, oh, which females are gonna, be more relatable, which females, are gonna draw more or anything like that. But as a woman, I feel like I know what other women want to cheer for, and Liv Morgan has that thing that especially female viewers want to cheer for. Now, I'm sure you can talk in about like, the male viewers and all of that, but like when it comes to women, like they like people that are relatable, and I feel Liv Morgan has that.
Especially in WWE, I'm just from a man's perspective here, especially in WWE, you get a lot of like certain, I'm going to throw Eva Marie under the bus here. Eva Marie, to me, and I might be completely wrong here, is not a wrestling fan. She's in it for the money and the fame and everything that comes with being a WWE superstar. Liv Morgan, to me, feels like she was a fan, and she gets it, and she works hard, and she appreciates what wrestling is, the art form and the performance aspect. And on top of that, when you watch her on Up, Up, Down, Down and stuff like that, she seems like a nice girl. It's like, she seems like she's a nice girl. You can sit down, have a pint with it, Wetherspoons or something like that. So yeah, that's why people get on board, because she just is relatable, and she seems very nice. Just a nice person. She's got a farm. Who doesn't love a farm?
Yeah. There you go. Relatable person. That's exactly what she's got going. And then I also decided to go with Nikki Ash. Obviously I just had my interview with her, so I kind of feel like maybe I'm going into this a little bit biased and all, but I'm thinking too, like, hey, if they're investing in this new character, and this is obviously something that could get over with young audiences, with children, heading back into live events, especially if you really want to market, the Nikki Ash character and really push her to like really get the maximum out of, this superhero character, why not have her also win Money in the Bank? Make your investment mean something by having her win this big deal match. So that's why I think that those two women would be the best options.
I mean, they like to make a lot about momentum, don't they? So if anyone's got momentum, it's Nikki Ash. So I just looking at the field there, I guess she has to be the heavy favorite after the team on Liv Morgan in particular now is too early. So I would like to see, I'm going to do something saucy here, have Sonya Deville in her authoritarian role. And she's got sort of something going on with Liv Morgan on SmackDown, hasn't she? Where she's been she's looking down on Liv, and then just sort of treating them more like a child at school, and she's like the head teacher, that sort of relationship. I'd like to see just sort of Sonya just go, no, Liv, I don't want to put you in that match anymore. I'm going to have your spot. Maybe Sonya wins, and then over the summer, Sonya and Liv, they battle over Money in the Bank, and Sonya puts it on the line. Liv can maybe win it in a match and then take it from there. Because I still think she's missing that one step to sort of validate her being up there. And I know you don't need that when you got Money in the Bank. I mean, we had Otis last year with the fellas winning, but we saw where that one went. So hopefully they can legitimize somebody a bit more like Liv Morgan, so Otis doesn't happen again.
Oh, I agree. I completely agree. We have a super chat here from Ryan Smith. Thank you so much to Ryan, who says, between the 8 women in the match right now, Liv Morgan should win and hold on to it for a while. Now, a surprise the crowd would love would be Becky. Yes, Becky was a name that, people were wondering if, she's going to show up. So she's somebody, too, that I think people kind of have their hopes up for as well.
She's meant to be backstage, isn't she? Yeah,
she is going to be backstage, but I feel like she's been backstage at several events. So for me, like, I know for some people it may be like a big deal, but for me, I'm like, it's not going to be a big deal to me unless she actually appears. Obviously, it's going to be a big deal for everybody, but I'm not going to get my hopes up is what I'm saying.
She'll remember her gear this weekend. I think that's what the story's saying. That was the bottom line of the article. She will actually have her wrestling bag with her this time. Ooh.
Wrestling 101. Always bring your gear. Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and jump in. We got one last match to talk about before we get into that one. Ross, first of all, I want to thank you. I'm going to thank you again before this podcast ends, but I want to thank you so much for already spending so much time with me here today and just like saying yes to coming on and doing this show. And I do want to remind each and every single one of you guys who are watching, if you haven't yet, make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 50K. This channel is run entirely by me, and you get a mixture of pop culture and pro wrestling. So a very nice hybrid of, different topics. So if you're interested in that, feel free to subscribe. But let's go ahead and do this, Ross. We are down to our last match of the day. Here we go. The men's Money in the Bank match. And we have Seth Rollins, Shinsuke Nakamura, or if you want to say King Nakamura, Kevin Owens, Big E, Drew McIntyre, Matt Riddle, Ricochet, and John Morrison. From the looks of it, this match is going to be crazy. It's going to be a lot of fun. But who do you think is walking out with that briefcase?
Yeah, I was just looking at the sort of preview on WWE.com yesterday, just looking at that field. I tweeted this could be the greatest Money in the Bank ladder match ever. Just all those wrestlers, just as wrestlers and performers, they're all absolutely fantastic. I was fearful for the longest time that Drew McIntyre would get around the stipulation loss to Bobby Lashley at Hell in a Cell. Of course, he can't challenge Bobby as long as Bobby's champion, but if he has the briefcase, there's a loophole. For William Wallace and that fella in the cave with the spider.
No history, please.
Winston Churchill, who isn't Scottish, and Rabsy Nesbitt and Lorraine Kelly and all the famous Scottish people. He would do it all for them. But thankfully, Jinder Mahal has come around to hinder Drew McIntyre. So hopefully, I don't know, maybe Jinder will run Drew down with a new motorcycle he's got, or a car or something like that, vehicular assault. We all have one of those in wrestling, don't we? So I'm going to go for Big E. My heart and my head is saying Big E. There's always these rumors. Oh, I say that always. At the moment, there's these rumors that Big E, with the upcoming draft, I think I got moved back to October or something like that, he's going to go to Raw. So maybe with Bobby beating Kofi and then hopefully beating Goldberg. I'm terrified about that one at SummerSlam. That potentially is going to happen. Hopefully he sees off Goldberg, and then a feud after that naturally would be new Mr. Money in the Bank and Raw superstar Big E avenging the loss to Kofi and all that stuff. So heart and head is saying Big E, because it's been sad over the past year just watching how Big E. Going back to autumn time, we were saying Big E's a shooter, like nailed on to win the Rumble, go on to WrestleMania and beat Roman Reigns, but it hasn't quite happened that way. Speaking about repetition earlier on the undercard for SmackDown, that's the one I forgot to say was Big E and Apollo. They've wrestled so much and so much and so much. We need to see something new. So hopefully Big E does it and then goes off to Raw and beats Bobby for the championship.
Ross, I was just thinking you might want to see Shinsuke versus Baron Corbin again. I feel like we haven't seen that enough. That could, that would be fun. See it again for the 20 millionth time.
I think I looked on Cage Match, and it was like the 9th straight match in a row that Corbin's had on TV where Nakamura's been involved.
Yes.
Something crazy like that. It's like, yes. I get why they're doing it, because they don't want to give all the good stuff away with no pop or whatnot in the arenas, but come on. You've got 1 million wrestlers still. I mean, well, less than 1 million now, but still a fair few. Use them all. Why not?
Exactly. So I'm looking, at these names here, and I'm thinking like, I feel like your pick of Big E is honestly the best pick, but just to pick somebody differently, I won't be surprised if they have Drew McIntyre win this. I feel like they want to, get him back up there. I do feel bad for Drew McIntyre because, he had his dream come true of becoming champion and all of this, but he was stuck in that unfortunate period where it was a pandemic and he essentially got screwed out of, essentially going through that experience with the fans and really trying to make a name for himself, as champion. I feel like a lot of people, what they're going to remember from, his reign, obviously had great matches and all of that, but a lot of people are always going to associate him with being champion during this Thunderdome era, during this pandemic era. So I almost feel like they still want to figure out what kind of mileage they could get from Drew McIntyre, especially with the briefcase, but with like, with audiences. So I would probably go with Drew McIntyre. I do think that Matt Riddle is one of the most interesting people right now with this story and all of that. He would be a good option as well. I don't want to see Seth Rollins win the Money in the Bank. I don't think he needs it. Nakamura, I feel like they won't necessarily do anything with him if he were to win. Kevin Owens, that one would be interesting as well, too. But does he really need it? Probably not. And then Ricochet and John Morrison. I don't think that anybody's buying that they could win. But if anybody, I would probably go with Ricochet there, too, out of those two options, Ricochet and John Morrison. But I'm going to go with Drew McIntyre just to be different. But if not, definitely Big E.
Oh, it's such a shame how Drew McIntyre's year's gone, because the early pandemic months he was on fire, sort of carrying. He was one of the people carrying Monday Night Raw, along with people like Asuka, Sasha Banks and Bayley. I remember early on in the pandemic, they were all just carrying Raw. And then it's been a case of repetition again. He had one too many matches, I think, with Randy Orton, and people were sick of that by the time it ended. And now he's become this historian, and people are just getting sick of him because of a different reason. It's a weird. We just need to again, like Rhea Ripley, just strip him back, just start again, just have him be that big, powerful man who you could just see sitting in a pub with a pint. That's what people liked, at least from my perspective anyway. Even though he's this massive 6'5", Greek god, I don't want to say Greek, not Greek mythology, historical stuff and stuff.
Scottish god.
Yeah, whatever. He's just this, even though he is big and he's massive and he's not relatable for people like me. Character-wise, he just was a normal guy who would have his relationship with Sheamus. It was like a brotherly relationship. They fought and went for beers because that's how things go over here in England. We drink together and we fight together. That's definitely how it works. But just go back to that. Why is this historical thing a thing in wrestling? Because in AEW, Chris Jericho and MJF are doing the same thing. I don't know if they're trying to take the piss out of WWE by doing that, because we know that AEW like to throw some jives and some bars here and there, and they always miss for me by and large. But go back to the basics with Drew McIntyre, because he doesn't deserve to be having people saying they're sick of the sight of him, because he's better than that. We all know that.
Yes. They're making him unlikable when he's so easy to be likable. It wasn't hard for you to convince me to be a Drew McIntyre fan. It took me a split second, and I was like, yep, I'm a fan. That's it. It's so easy. But again, the whole history thing, it's just not, it's nobody's cup of tea, okay? Nobody's. All right, so Ross, we officially have gone through all 7 matches announced thus far for Money in the Bank this Sunday. Before we go, out of all the 7 matches that we just talked about and we shared our picks, etc., which match are you most looking forward to?
The men's Money in the Bank ladder match. I think that's got, as I said earlier, the potential to be the best ever. Hopefully it is. Hopefully there's no Brock Lesnar to sort of steal the spotlight, the limelight at the end of the piece. But the men's Money in the Bank is head and shoulders above the rest of the card for me this weekend. What about you?
I agree. It's definitely the men's Money in the Bank. 100% sure. I am obviously curious what they're going to do with the women's Money in the Bank, but definitely the men's is the one that I'm most looking forward to, especially with all of the names in there who we all know can do incredible stuff. I think it's going to be very, very exciting. Alrighty, so that is pretty much a wrap for our prediction show. Ross, I seriously want to thank you. So funny story. I think I mentioned this off air, but when I reached out to you, I was like, okay, no, so first when you hit me up on a couple months ago, we were talking via DMs on Twitter and stuff. I was like, oh, that's so cool. I had no idea that he knew I existed. And then all of a sudden, we're kind of we only chatted very briefly. But when I asked you to come on to the show, I was afraid you were going to say no.
That would be rich of me to say no when I'm endlessly trying to get wrestling. You need to tell me your secret, by the way, how to get into AEW and WWE people. By the way, you don't get interviews with those people. It's talk about forbidden doors. I need to get a bazooka to get those forbidden doors down. It's impossible to get. I'm a very
aggressive emailer.
So am I, but it doesn't work. It's I forgot what we're talking about there. What were we talking about?
I was afraid of you rejecting me.
All right, yeah, I would never do that, because I try when people, because I get asked not too much, but I try and always say yes and try and fit it in somewhere, because I'm endlessly trying to get wrestlers on Straight to Hell, and it's always so disheartening where either they don't reply or they say sorry, can't do it, or even more heartbreakingly so, sorry, that show is too negative for me, I'm not that much of a negative person. I'm like, you've not watched it. It's a great way to show how people love professional wrestling by saying what they don't like about it. And but I would never say no. If you want to interview me, I'll say yes. I'll get around to it eventually. Don't worry about it.
I love it. Ross, feel free to plug in anything you'd like to plug in before we wrap up the show as well.
Yeah, so I work for a wrestling YouTube channel, well, a wrestling Glogrid, whatever that word is, that big word, a wrestling thing called Cultaholic Wrestling. We have a YouTube channel, which you can find at Cultaholic Wrestling. We have a website, which is getting stronger and stronger and stronger under the leadership, I should say, of our new editor, Mitch Wadden. That's getting bigger and better. We're on Twitch, twitch.tv/Cultaholic. Acast, where you find your podcast. Tom Campbell fronts up our podcast audio section. There's all sorts going on, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to hear about professional wrestling. WWE, AEW, do a bit of Impact. Adam Paci's live streaming that show tomorrow on YouTube. Any sort of wrestling, the big boys we cover and try and do our best. There's all sorts going on. There's too much wrestling. Stop the wrestling. Peel it back a bit. Do less. Do better. Just less. Yeah, less is more. Quality, not quantity. Yes, that's what we do. I'm rambling now. Denise, thank you.
You're like, Denise, stop me. That happens to me. There's times where I'll keep talking and I'm like, someone please shut me up right now. But I didn't feel you were rambling. I felt like that was all necessary information. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure everybody here that's watching has already seen the Cultaholic videos. Very, very fun stuff on there. So I do have the links in the description box below in case you guys haven't followed them already. Make sure to do so. Follow Ross as well. And if you haven't, follow me on Twitter. I'm @ Denise Salcedo. I tweet nonstop. I mean, I have a Twitter addiction. I don't know if it's bad, but I have a Twitter addiction and you know, it's there. Okay. But seriously, follow me. I tweet about each and every single show. I will be tweeting about, you know, Slammiversary, Money in the Bank, etc. All of that good stuff on there. So make sure if you guys haven't followed me, make sure to do so @ Denise Salcedo. Plus, make sure to like and subscribe to this channel. This channel is run entirely by me, and I'm trying to get to 50K. So please make a girl's dream come true and hit that subscribe button. All right, Ross, this is it. This is the official goodbye. Goodbye, everybody.
Official goodbye, everybody.